We're talking about setting up Google Authorship. Again, my name is Bob Stewart. If you want to talk to me on Twitter, I'm at ActiveBob. You can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/ActiveBob. If you have something to say about us or me, you can use that, or you can use hashtag ActiveRain. If you don't use Twitter and you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. It's not going to be the end of the world if you're not on Twitter. So why? Why do we want to add Google Authorship? Well, Google made this cool new little tool that says, as a search engine, as this, the biggest search engine out there, we want to be able to know everything that you as an author writes. And what this does is it gives Google an increased level of trust in your content. Okay? Not only that, it could potentially give consumers an increased level of trust, or maybe an increased access to the content that you're creating. So if you haven't seen this already, you probably don't do enough Google searches. All right, but what's starting to happen, and it's been happening for the last, I don't know what it's been, 8 months maybe since Google came out with authorship. What's happening now is people's faces are starting to show up in Google search results, and this is a pretty major deal. Okay, it's very rare that Google makes changes to the actual display of what their search results look like. They might widen the column by a couple of pixels. They make some minor changes that aren't very noticeable, but from the perspective of something on that search results page that's noticeable, this is one of the first changes they've made in quite some time. And so adding your image in there, or your picture of your face, where it shows up in the search results, is a big deal. And what's starting to happen, so this is a search, actually I redid this. We've done this class, we did it 6 months ago, but I redid this search today, Village at Black Rock, condos for sale, right? So on ActiveRain, if you come to any of the classes that I'm always talking about, writing about subdivisions and condo complexes and these really particular places in your market. And so Gail, being a good rainer, she's written a ton of these kinds of posts, but she's also tied Google authorship into her content. So what you'll see now is when somebody does a search for the Village at Black Rock, condos for sale, or really a lot of different search queries related to the things that she's written about on ActiveRain, Google is now displaying her photo. And what Google has said, they haven't given some real specific numbers. SEO mods, there's been some studies out there that have gotten a little bit more specific, but essentially what is happening is you see her showing up in the second position. Her result in the second position with her image is getting a higher click-through rate than she would expect in that second position without the image. Okay, so just having that image there, again, what's causing? I mean, it could be that, especially as it relates to like real estate, right? People, they want to have an agent that they know or that they can get familiar with, that they like, and so just having that kind of personal connection as it relates to real estate, your face on there, that's a big deal. Okay, it's also just something kind of different on the page, so your eyes, or a searcher's eyes are a little bit more drawn to that result because it does have her face showing up in there. Whatever the reasons, results with an image are getting higher click-through ratios than those similar results in the same positions without the image. So we want to make sure that we're taking advantage of every little thing that Google gives us to kind of get a leg up on other folks. Now, not only does it put our image in there, what Google will also do then is they will actually give the searcher an opportunity to find all of our content, all of, in this case, Gail's content, about that particular subject, and it might be from more than just one site. So if you come back and look at this, notice, and again, they don't change these things very often, but notice the search result, and you guys have all been on Google, so the portion in blue, that's what we would click on. Okay, the portion in green right there is showing basically what site are you about to be sent to if you click here. And then right below that, what you would generally have seen before, and you can see it for condo.com and BlackRock's Village, it just goes directly into the page description. What you see for Gail's result is you've got that little by Gail Robinson, which is actually something clickable, and that would take us off to her Google Plus page. But at the end there, you've got that other little link that says More by Gail Robinson. And what will happen is, if somebody was to check that out, if they wanted to see more things that Gail had written about the village at Black Rock, or about that query that they did, Google is going to give them all of that content on any of the sites where Gail has shown the search engine, I'm an author on this site. So she's got her ActiveRain blog set up. We're going to take you through step by step. How do you set your ActiveRain blog up for Google authorship? But she's also got, if you notice down there a little bit further, she's got BlackRockHomesForSale.com. And that's actually a website. It's probably her WordPress site or something of that nature, where she has also told the search engines, look, I'm an author here as well. Okay, so what Google's doing is they're just going out and they're combing all of the content that Gail has submitted to them, and she's not doing this, every time she writes something she's not submitted. Simply by setting up her Google authorship, they are combing her content, and they're kind of behind the scenes figuring out where else does Gail have content that relates to BlackRock. So if somebody's really looking for an expert in something, and in this case, if they were looking for that one agent out there who knows all about the village at BlackRock, Gail's giving that consumer a really good idea that, look, she doesn't just have one thing out there about BlackRock. She's written about it in different places, and Google's pulling all of that together so that if a consumer wanted to really dive in and see, how knowledgeable is this lady really on this area, they would be able to find a bunch of content from Gail about this same subject. So again, it's another opportunity on that search page, and we don't get too many of these, right? In fact, before Google authorship, the only opportunity we had was that somebody would click on the link, right, and be taken to our website. And still today, that's going to be the majority of the traffic. The majority of the folks are going to be just clicking the link, but Google's giving us these kind of other opportunities in there to not only get more exposure, right, our picture on the page, but also to lead people to other pieces of content or other similar pieces of content that we may have written on the same subject. And then I mentioned this already, but it adds an additional connection point in the search results. And I can't harp on this enough. They just don't make a lot of these changes. They don't give us a lot of opportunities inside of the search page, right, the search results page, to make additional connections for our business, to have additional ways that people can connect with us. And so by having that Google Plus account, you'll see right there where it says by Gail Robinson, that's going to be a link back to her Google Plus. And Google Plus is one of these things where there's a lot of joking, and if you really kind of pay attention to social media and the people that are kind of claim to be experts, there's a lot of joking about Google Plus as a social network. I don't know that we're necessarily as concerned with Google Plus as a social network as we are by the fact that Google owns it. All right, and when Google owns something and they realize that, Facebook has overtaken them as the most trafficked website, and they're looking for ways to make Google Plus relevant, working it into the search engine results, it almost forces you as somebody that's out there trying to create content and wanting that content to show up in Google, because Google is kind of this 800-pound gorilla in terms of sending traffic around the web, right? They're going to leverage their main asset, which is their, the Google search engine, to try to get leverage for Google Plus. And so we're almost forced at this point to kind of set up a Google Plus account. And look, the reality is if you have any other Google properties, whether that be a YouTube account or a Gmail or really any of those other things that Google offers, you have a Google Plus account. Okay, so let's get in here and let's set up Google authorship. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go live here for a minute, and we're going to start off on my ActiveRain page. And so what you're seeing here is the My Home portion of ActiveRain, right? Once you're logged into ActiveRain, you would just click this little My Home link up here in the top right-hand corner, or this is the page you land on when you log in each day. And what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to the My Profile portion. We're going to hit Edit, because we need to add a little bit of information to our ActiveRain profile in order to kind of show Google what content it is on ActiveRain that we are authoring. All right, so now I need to jump over. So this is the place I'm going to put in a link to my Google profile. Now, where do I find my Google profile? Well, what you want to do is you want to come to plus.google.com. All right, like I said, a bunch of you guys may think, oh, I don't have a Google Plus account. Like, I've never set this up. If you have any other Google product, including YouTube or Gmail or any of those things, you have a Google Plus account. So once you get here, what you're going to want to do is get logged in, right? And that'll generally occur up here in the top right-hand corner, and you'll see that I'm already logged in here to my Google Plus account. So the place that I want to go to figure out what is that unique URL that I'm going to place in my ActiveRain profile is going to be on this little profile link right here. So when I click profile, and oh, check that out, our cover photos just got bigger, so I can change mine. We're not going to do that right now. But in our profile here is our chance to grab that link. And it's going to be this link. So once I click on profile, right, it's going to come up with plus.google.com / kind of my unique Google number, and then /posts. I don't want that in there. In fact, I'm going to get rid of that. This is the area, that's the link that I'm going to grab. Okay, I'm going to bring this back over here to my ActiveRain. I'm just going to paste that URL right in there. Okay, everybody got that? On my Google Plus profile, I'm going to click profile, right? And then I'm going to get rid of, the first time I do it, if I was to kind of reset that thing, the first time that I do that, I believe, well, it's Google's smart, right? They already learned, look, he doesn't want posts in there, that's fine. So I'm going to grab that, I'm going to stick it over here in this little area, then I'm going to save that area on my profile on ActiveRain. So I'm going to hit save profile, super simple. Now when we come here, if somebody was looking at my profile on ActiveRain, they're going to see this Google profile, right? Find me on Google Plus, and this is going to be a link where? Back off to the page we were just looking at. Okay, so we've got it set up on the ActiveRain side. Now there's this one extra step that we have to take on Google's side. Because you're not the owner of ActiveRain.com, there's a section in here where we have to add a link to our profile on ActiveRain. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is right in here on my profile page, I've got all of these kind of different little options right here below my image and my cover photo. I'm going to go to the About option. And this has got all sorts of stuff. It's got the people in my circles, and my story, and my education, and my work, and my basic info. Right down here at the bottom, in kind of the bottom right-hand corner, is this section for links. And the page that I'm going to be interested in adding to is this contributor to. What pages feature your work? All right, so I'm going to come in here and edit this. And I'm in my links section. And I'm going to add a custom link to the contributor to field, and I'm going to make sure that this is public. So I'm going to come in here and say add custom link. Now what I want to do in here is I'm going to link to my ActiveRain profile page. Okay, so I'm going to copy that, activerain.com / AR-Bob. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to paste that URL in there. And you notice Google adds the HTTP for me. So essentially the page is http:// activerain.com / AR-Bob. For you, it's going to be activerain.com / whatever your username is. Okay? And again, you can just grab that by going to your profile, clicking on my profile, and that'll kind of throw up this page that's your profile on ActiveRain. Once I have that in there, I need to give it a label. Now, this is just going to be what somebody sees it as if they were to look at the About section of your profile. It's not dramatically important that you have like some great keyword phrase in there or something, but have it kind of explain on a very kind of broad basis what Google will expect to find from the content that you're writing. So let's say I'm a real estate agent in Seattle. I'm going to do something like Seattle area real estate news, something like that, okay? Again, if I was, if I only put Seattle real estate news in there, I mean, it doesn't really matter. What's more important is the content that we end up contributing to our blog, that we end up kind of feeding to Google and letting them know, hey, we were the author of this piece of content. That's going to be more important than what we use for the title of our link here in our contributors section. So once we've got that there, we could have added another one, but I don't want to do that. I've only got one here. So I'm just going to come down here and hit save. And you'll now notice that in the contributor to section here, we've got a link back to my ActiveRain profile. Okay? This completes the loop. So essentially, when you placed this piece of code, or when you place the link to your Google profile here in your profile, what we did on ActiveRain is we took that thing and we put it in a couple of places, right? We put some code on your blog that lets them know. We put some code on every individual page on your blog that lets them know. We put some code on your profile here that lets Google know. Coming back here then and letting Google know where that code is at out there is this contributor to step. Now once you've got that, that's very simple, okay? There's a place that you can go and test this out, and Carrie is going to give you this link right now. It's going to be activerain.com/Google-authorship. Okay, so if I was going through there too fast for you, and you're like, wait, what step, where did you click, what did you do? This post right here is a written explanation of how to do this. Okay, step by step, I go through here, and I show you exactly where in there you would place this stuff, and it's just a step-by-step tutorial. Here's the big kind of make sure you do this at the end thing. Right at the bottom of this post, there's a little link right here that says if you are wondering if you did everything right, you can head over here and run a test. So what you'll want to do is you want to open that page up, okay, and then I'm going to go grab some piece of content out of my blog. So I'm going to go to my blog. So my blog is at activerain.com/blogs/ARBob. And I need to find a live post. So right now you see a draft in there. But let me go down here and find a live post. So you'd expect me to have Alicia on. All right, so this is a live post. It's out there. Google's indexed this thing. They know that it lives somewhere on the internet. I'm going to grab the URL for this post. I'm going to copy that entire URL for the post. All right, and I'm going to take it over here to this structured data testing tool that Google offers. I'm going to paste it in there. I'm just going to hit preview. And Google's going to tell me that authorship is working for this web page. Okay, I know I have it set up right now. It's set up in the correct fashion. If you see something other than that here, you messed up. And the easiest way for people to mess up is when you go in here and grab this URL, you need to make sure it doesn't have any other junk in here. And some of the other junk that's kind of common is sometimes, depending on the route that you take to get to this page, you may see something like this. No, maybe that's not it. But there's some kind of messiness that Google will sometimes give just to you when you're looking at your own pages. You have to make sure it's this real clean, https://plus.google.com/the number, and that's it. Like if you get this about in there, that will ruin it, right? So you want to make sure that this link that you place in your ActiveRain blog is that clean, just https://plus.google.com/, that number, right? Anything else in there that you might accidentally drop in will mess this up, and when you come back and test it, it's going to act like it's not working. Okay, super simple, but again, you want to get this stuff set up. And here's what will begin to happen, okay? Google will begin to know everything that you publish, all right? So, I mean, ActiveRain is one of these places where, and you may have tested this yourself, but you can get in there and post something, and literally in 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 15 minutes, you'll see the result come up, right? You can go back and test it 15 minutes later, and all of a sudden it's showing up in the search results. But having Google Authorship set up will let them know right away when you publish something, right? Right away we're pinging Google, we're letting them know that, hey, something has changed with this author. They've added this new piece of content. Now there's kind of a, if you're creating good solid content for your blog, this is a plus, but what starts to happen is Google is looking now at kind of this library of content and they're considering you an author, right? And as Google moves kind of Panda and Penguin, these recent updates, they're really moving towards how do they figure out who has quality content. And one of the ways they're doing this is they're looking at, us real people out here who are creating real content to let them know when we're publishing stuff. So what will happen is over time, as you create more and more content, and you're focusing on a specific area, you know, the area that you do business, and you're focusing your content on specific sorts of things like, you know, community sorts of things or stuff that has to do with the real estate industry, Google will start to give more precedence to all of your content because they realize that you're creating good stuff. Okay, I guess the flip side of that would be if you're just putting crap out there, right, they're also going to know that you're just putting crap out there, right? And what you'll start to see over time is Google is really looking at real people creating good content and figuring out how can they get those results into the search engines. Okay, so the quality of your content, right, starts to really kind of come to light for the search engines as we add Google Authorship to the things that we're doing. Now, Carrie, I gave Carrie another link that she's going to chat out to you guys. I'm not going to show you how to set it up on your WordPress blog, okay? If you guys have a WordPress blog or you have like your own website, Carrie just sent you a link for how to set up Google Authorship on your WordPress blog. And that link has a video in it that will walk you through step-by-step setting this up on your WordPress blog. What you want to try to do is you want to try to get Google Authorship set up on any places where you are contributing content, right? ActiveRain, hopefully you guys are all doing it on ActiveRain, but definitely if you have a WordPress blog, get it set up there, okay? If you, on your own website, you're creating pages on your own website, you'll want to get it set up there. And that may be, look, I mean, Google's really good for this kind of thing, right? If you were trying to figure out how to get Google Authorship set up on your website, I guess you could ask your host or your provider. You could also do something like, how do I set up Google Authorship on my website? Right? And I mean, there's all sorts of posts in here that you know, some of them have videos. Some, like this is the one that we sent you about setting it up on WordPress that has a video. Right? The answers are out there for you to figure out how to do this. I showed you step by step how to do it in ActiveRain. So short class, 30 minutes. Does anybody have any questions about anything that I just went through there?
Bob, there's lots of questions coming in, and this was fast. So if you guys follow that Google Authorship post that I mass chatted you, it'll take you through it slower. Trust me. I've done the same thing. So,
yeah,
but Bob,
sorry, Carrie, ActiveRain.com/Google-authorship. That's going to take you through it a lot slower, right? You can go at your own speed because you're just reading down the page. Here's a couple of things, all right? One thing is, by doing this, Google doesn't promise that they're going to return our face in every result. It's not a promise from them, okay? So if you set it up, you go through, you at the end here, you've got everything set up, you do the test, all right? You come over to the structured data tool, you run the test, and it says it's working. Then you go out and try to find yourself in the search results, and all of a sudden your picture's not showing up there. They don't promise they're going to do this. And in fact, if you're a newer author, it's less likely that they will, or people are finding it's less likely that they will show you right away as if you're somebody that has a lot of content out there already, okay? Another thing is this image right here that they display in your results, and you'll notice on my ActiveRain, this is my image, right? Professional image. On my Google Plus, I've kind of got this fuzzy like, cartoon image of myself. This is the image that they will show in the search results. So you want to make sure that your image on your Google Plus account is the image that you want popping up in those search results. One thing about that, they are not going to show images that are not of a face. And in fact, it's possible they will not show images that are of multiple faces. Okay? So that means if on your Google Plus account you have your company logo on there or something like that, you want to get your Google Plus account set up with your picture. Okay, there's a pretty good chance they're not going to return that image in the results if you don't have a picture and it's of one face.